Marcus Chen had given up on finding love the way other people did, through carefully curated dating profiles and awkward first-date small talk at overpriced restaurants. At 34, he'd resigned himself to the possibility that maybe, just maybe, love wasn't written in his story. He'd stopped looking in all the usual places. What he didn't know was that sometimes the universe delivers exactly what you need when you finally stop demanding what you want. It was a Tuesday afternoon in late October when everything changed, though he wouldn't realize it for several weeks. The Seattle rain fell in that persistent, misty way that soaks through everything slowly, the kind of rain that makes you question why anyone chooses to live in the Pacific Northwest. Marcus sat in the back corner of Rosie's Diner, a worn-down establishment on the edge of downtown that served the best mediocre coffee he'd ever tasted. He came here every Tuesday and Thursday, laptop open, working remotely for a software company that never quite felt like home. She appeared like a ghost at first, pale, exhausted, moving between tables with a forced smile that didn't reach her eyes. Her name tag read, Sarah, and there was something about the way she carried herself that spoke of someone holding together pieces that desperately wanted to fall apart. Marcus noticed the slight tremor in her hands when she poured coffee, the way she kept glancing at her phone tucked in her apron pocket, the dark circles under her eyes that no amount of concealer could hide. More coffee. Her voice was soft, professional, distant. Please, Marcus said, offering a smile. She didn't return it, just poured and moved on to the next table. Over the following weeks, Marcus began to notice patterns. Sarah worked the lunch and early dinner shifts, always rushing between tables with an efficiency born of necessity rather than enthusiasm. She never took breaks, always volunteered for extra tables, and on slow days, he could see the anxiety flash across her face as she calculated tips in her head. There was a story there, written in the slump of her shoulders and the determination in her jaw. Marcus wasn't the kind of man who approached strangers with invasive questions. His mother had raised him better than that. But he was observant, and kindness had always been his default setting, much to the confusion of his more cynical friends. So he started tipping 50%. Then 60%. Then he began leaving $100 bills under his coffee cup with small notes. "You're doing great," or, "Hope this helps brighten your day." He never signed them, never made a show of it. He'd simply finish his work, leave the money tucked discreetly under his mug, and disappear before she could connect the generous tips to his quiet presence in the corner booth. 3 weeks into this routine, everything unraveled on a rainy Thursday evening. Marcus was gathering his things when he heard the crash, the distinctive sound of porcelain shattering against tile. He looked up to see Sarah standing frozen in the middle of the diner, broken plates at her feet, tears streaming down her face. The manager, a burly man named Phil with a perpetual scowl, stormed over. "That's coming out of your paycheck, Sarah. 3rd time this month. I can't keep." "Please," Sarah's voice cracked. "Please, my daughter is sick and I haven't slept in 2 days and I'm really trying." "Not my problem. Clean it up." Marcus was on his feet before his brain caught up with his body. "Actually, I bumped the table. It's my fault." The lie came easily, smooth as silk. Phil's eyes narrowed. "That true?" "Completely. I'm terribly clumsy." "Here," Marcus pulled out his wallet, extracting several bills. "This should cover the plates and any inconvenience." Sarah stared at him, confusion and something like hope flickering across her face. Phil grunted, snatched the money, and walked away muttering about customers. The other diners had already returned to their meals, the brief drama forgotten. "You didn't have to do that," Sarah whispered, kneeling to collect the broken pieces. Marcus knelt beside her. "I know." Their eyes met over the shattered porcelain, and for the first time, he saw past her exhaustion to the person beneath, fierce, afraid, and fighting with everything she had. "Thank you," she said, and this time her voice carried the weight of 1,000 unspoken burdens. "Sarah, right." Marcus kept his voice gentle. "I'm Marcus. And I think you need more help than you're asking for." She opened her mouth to protest, to offer the polite refusal of someone too proud to accept charity, but something stopped her. Maybe it was the sincerity in his eyes, or maybe she was just too tired to keep fighting alone. "My daughter, Emma, she has asthma. Bad asthma. We were at the Earl last night, and the bills just keep piling up, and her father, he's not in the picture, and I'm working double shifts, but it's never enough, and I don't know, the words tumbled out in a rush, years of pressure finding a crack in her armor. Breathe, Marcus said softly. Just breathe. How old is Emma? 5. She's 5 and she's brilliant and she loves dinosaurs and she deserves so much better than sleeping in a car when we can't make rent. Marcus's heart cracked open. You've been sleeping in your car. Sarah's silence was answer enough. That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. He lay in his comfortable apartment, staring at the ceiling, thinking about a 5-year-old girl who loved dinosaurs and a mother who was drowning while everyone watched from the shore. He thought about the money sitting in his savings account, earmarked for a future that felt increasingly abstract. He thought about his own childhood, the way his parents had struggled after immigrating from Taiwan, the kindness of strangers that had made all the difference. By morning, he'd made a decision. Over the next 3 months, Marcus became a fixture in Sarah and Emma's lives, though not in the way anyone expected. He didn't swoop in as a romantic hero or a savior complex made flesh. Instead, he showed up as a friend when Sarah needed one most. He helped navigate the nightmare of insurance paperwork for Emma's medical treatments, using his tech skills to find programs and assistance she didn't know existed. He connected Sarah with a single mother's support network at the community center. He babysat Emma on Sarah's shift nights, learning everything about velociraptors and triceratops, building elaborate dinosaur scenes out of cardboard and paint. He never asked for anything in return, never made his help conditional on gratitude or affection. He simply showed up, consistently, reliably, in ways that said, "You're not alone anymore." Sarah fought it at first. Pride is a fierce thing when it's all you have left. But slowly, carefully, she learned to accept the hand being offered. She learned that accepting help wasn't weakness, it was wisdom. "Why are you doing this?" she asked one evening as they sat on the floor of her new apartment. Marcus had quietly co-signed the lease, while Emma slept peacefully in her own bedroom for the first time in months. Marcus thought about it, really thought about it. "I was waiting for something," he said finally. "For years, I thought I was waiting for love, for the right person, for my life to suddenly make sense. But I think I was actually waiting for purpose. For a reason to be the person I always wanted to be." And we're that. Sarah's voice was cautious, but there was something new there, a softness, a lowering of walls. "You showed me that love isn't always romantic. Sometimes it's just showing up. Sometimes it's just seeing someone who's invisible to everyone else and saying, 'I see you. You matter. You're not alone.' That's a kind of love too." Tears slipped down Sarah's cheeks, the good kind this time. "You're a strange man, Marcus Chen." He laughed. "I've been told that before. Thank you for being strange." The weeks turned into months, and something neither of them had been looking for began to bloom. It wasn't the lightning strike romance of movies. It was quieter, deeper, built on foundations of trust and kindness rather than attraction and chemistry, though those came too, eventually, inevitably. Sarah went back to school, taking night classes in nursing, something she'd dreamed of before life had derailed her plans. Marcus helped with Emma, discovering that he was surprisingly good at bedtime stories and making pancakes in fun shapes. Emma, for her part, decided that Marcus was basically magic because he could fix anything with a computer and knew all the best dinosaur facts. One December evening, almost a year after that first Tuesday at Rosie's Diner, they sat together watching Emma perform an elaborate dinosaur puppet show. Snow fell outside the window, the kind of picture-perfect scene that usually only exists in holiday movies. Sarah reached over and took Marcus's hand. "I need to tell you something," she said. Marcus's heart jumped. "Okay. I'm falling in love with you. Or maybe I already fell. I'm not sure when it happened. Maybe it was that first day when you took the blame for those plates. Maybe it was the 100th time you showed up when you didn't have to. Maybe it's happening right now. But it's happening, and it's terrifying, and I needed you to know." Marcus squeezed her hand, his own eyes suddenly damp. "I've been in love with you since the day I met you. I just didn't know it yet. I thought I was waiting for love, but love was waiting for me to stop looking for it in all the wrong places. It was right here, in a broken-down diner, in a woman who needed hope more than romance, in a little girl who taught me that family isn't about blood, it's about showing up." "That's really cheesy," Sarah said, laughing through tears. "I know. Emma's been teaching me her favorite movie quotes." Emma abandoned her puppet show and crashed into both of them, wrapping her small arms around their necks. Are you going to be my daddy now? She asked Marcus with the blunt honesty only 5-year-olds can manage. Marcus looked at Sarah, who nodded through her tears. If that's okay with you, kiddo, I'd be honored. Okay, Emma said pragmatically. But you have to learn the correct way to say, Brachiosaurus. You keep getting it wrong. They laughed, all three of them, tangled together in a pile of limbs and love and dinosaur puppets. Outside, the snow continued to fall, blanketing the city in quiet white, the same city where a lonely man had stopped looking for love and found a family instead. Where a struggling mother had found hope again. Where a little girl had found a father in the most unexpected place. Marcus had been right about one thing, he'd been waiting for love. He just hadn't known that love would arrive disguised as purpose, wrapped in service, delivered through the simple act of seeing someone who needed to be seen. Sometimes the greatest love stories aren't about finding your soulmate. Sometimes they're about finding your purpose in helping someone else survive their darkest hour. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, those two things turn out to be the same thing after all. In the end, Marcus didn't rescue Sarah. They rescued each other. He'd given her hope when she was drowning, and she'd given him something to believe in when he'd stopped believing in anything at all. That's not a rescue. That's a partnership. That's family. That's the kind of love that actually changes the world, one small act of kindness at a time. And Emma, she grew up knowing that family isn't defined by DNA or tradition, but by the people who show up, who stay, who choose you every single day. She grew up watching her mother transform from a woman barely surviving to a woman thriving, graduating nursing school, helping others the way she'd once been helped. She grew up with a father who'd chosen her not out of obligation but out of love, who never missed a school play or a parent-teacher conference, who still, even when she was a teenager, would spend hours debating the relative merits of different dinosaur species. Years later, when Emma was applying to colleges, she wrote her admissions essay about a rainy Tuesday when a stranger had decided that her mother's broken plates mattered more than his comfort. When a man had looked at a struggling single mother and seen not a charity case, but a human being worthy of dignity, respect, and hope. Love finds us when we're ready to be found, she wrote in her conclusion. My father taught me that. Not by telling me, but by living it every single day. He was waiting for love. He found a single mom who needed hope. And in the process, he taught me that the greatest kind of love isn't the love that completes us, it's the love that helps us become who we're meant to be. On the day Emma submitted that essay, Marcus and Sarah sat together on their porch, older now, grayer, but still holding hands the way they had that snowy December evening. Still choosing each other. Still showing up. Do you ever think about that Tuesday? Sarah asked. Every day, Marcus said. Best coffee I ever had. Sarah laughed. The coffee at Rosie's was terrible. I know, Marcus said, pulling her close. But it was the best I ever had. And it was. Because sometimes, the thing you're searching for finds you in the most unexpected places. Sometimes, it finds you in a worn-down diner on a rainy Tuesday. Sometimes, it finds you when you finally stop looking and start seeing. Sometimes, waiting for love means learning that love isn't something you wait for at all. It's something you do, something you give, something you become. Marcus had been waiting for love. Instead, he'd become it. And that made all the difference.